Hey friend, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast for women who want to learn how to live an intentional life or build their creative business. I'll be giving you my very best business tips, bringing you interesting guests, giving you a daily dose of Jesus, and I'm committed to always keeping it real. Grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. I'm so honored that you're here. Well, hello there, friends. Welcome back to my podcast. This is episode number 132, and I have a guest that I want to introduce you to this week on the podcast. Her name is Cara Massie, and Cara is a member of my inner circle. And if you listened to the podcast last week, my podcast episode was how to pick a business coach, and I talked about getting into a group, whether it's my group, somebody's group, anybody's group. Find somebody that you resonate with who can teach you what you need to go from where you currently are to where you want to be. In life or in business. And I'm honored that I get to coach Cara, and her story of what has happened and transpired in her business in the last year is going to be super inspiring to those of you who maybe you just have a desire in your heart. Maybe you are stuck right now in a job that you do not love. Maybe you are wanting to make a hard shift, like not a little pivot, Cara, but you made a hard shift. And I think that this episode is really going to resonate for those of you who are in those places. So, Cara, welcome to the podcast.
Jen, thank you for having me.
Well, we've had some technical difficulties this morning, which I know means that this podcast is going to be thebomb.com because somebody's going to need to hear this and you're going to help set some women free. So you are a member of my inner circle and you have a relatively new business. And so will you tell us what you were doing a year ago at this time?
Absolutely. I have a very new business by all practical standards, right? I just launched last October.
And I should have asked you and said this at the very beginning. What is actually the name of your business, Cara?
Cara Massie Design.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for saying that out loud. I knew that. And so, but I should have asked you that at the beginning or introduced you with that. Okay. So a year ago at this time, you were...
A year ago at this time, I was in commercial real estate. So my husband and I purchased a boat and RV storage facility here in the Kansas City market, right? Because I'm just up the road, really, from where you are. And so I had been in the self-storage sector really for the last 15 years while my husband was still in corporate America, but I was doing the daily operations of our storage complex.
And funny little story, the way that I got to know who Cara is my mom, hi mom, if you're listening, sent me a message last year and she's like, Jen, so there's this girl and she works at the RV place where my parents were storing things there, right?
That's right.
And we've been talking to her about your course and she's wanted to do something different. And I'm like, okay, you know how sometimes like your mom tells you stuff and you just kind of nod at the appropriate places and you're like, yeah. And then I think, gosh, I hope my kids never do that to me. So mom, I'm sorry that I did that to you. And so anyway, then you joined the inner circle when we were open, I think the last time. And girl, you have completely shifted away from the RV and storage industry. And so tell us what happened. Walk us through what happened.
That's right. I did meet your mama. And let me just say on record, she is the cutest, sweetest little thing ever.
Cutie.
Yeah. One of my beloved clients, and I always enjoyed seeing her. And so I'm going to be real transparent. I totally had a little fangirl moment when I'm not even sure how your name came up, but she may have mentioned it in passing. And I kind of did the, whoa, hold on, what? Because I had been listening to your podcasts, okay. Right? So before I decided to launch my own business, your voice had been accompanying me on my walks with my dog around the lake and my workouts. Yes. And I had been, it had been simmering, right? Simmering. Yeah. About a year ago, my husband really started to say, I'm really ready to get out of corporate America. Mm-hmm. And I think we can all understand that on levels. I'm really ready to get out of corporate America. And I kind of started to say, I kind of want to do the things I've always wanted to do, but I've been building this other business. I've been serving my family. And then without mincing my words, really, it just was a Sunday morning in church and you just get the call.
Yeah.
Literally flat out just got it is time to put to use the gifts that I have given you.
Awesome. Love it when you get clarity like that.
Yeah. Clear as day.
And so you did what next then?
I jumped.
You jumped?
I jumped.
I love it. Okay, so talk to the girl who right now is wanting to jump. What did that actually look like? What did that actually feel like?
So for me, that meant that I had to put all fear aside, right? I had to step fully into that. And I had to, for the first time, I have always been doing this kind of work, just not on a professional level. My mother was a florist. I learned from her. I've always been decorating. I've always been helping design. I've always been that girl that everyone has said to her,
you could do this for a living. Is that the kind of things they would say?
Yeah. You should do this for a living. Why don't you do this for a living?
People would pay you for this, Cara.
Yes. And you know what we creatives do? I would downplay that every time.
Yeah.
I would say, honey, that's sweet. That's just a little thing. Just a little thing. It's not hard for me. It just comes, it's not hard. So nobody would pay me because it doesn't come hard to me. And so here's where I got really I felt this call from God. And then, Jen, I got to this place where I was like, my refusal to acknowledge that this is a gift that I'm supposed to deliver to the world is so rude.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Amen. Yeah.
So rude and so disrespectful.
Absolutely. When God gives us gifts, I do believe that he fully expects us to use them on this side of heaven. And oh, by the way, the Bible does say he does give us the wisdom to gain wealth. So we can use those gifts to pay our mortgage, babe. I love it.
Amen. Amen, sister. That's right. So I really just fully stepped into that. And I said to just a number of really close friends, I feel called to do this. I think it's my time. Doggone it. I turned 40 a few weeks ago. And if not now, when?
Excellent. And so did you quit the RV job?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not, because my husband was still in his career, which required a ton of travel. Sure. We have three kiddos, about your three oldest kiddos' ages. So I'm still managing all of the balls. And so I just started to put myself out there, and I said, I'm going to do this. If anyone needs some help, I started doing Facebook Lives like you recommended. Right.
So you started your Facebook page then too for Cara Massie Designs. Awesome. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So I started my Facebook page. I went ahead and did all of the things that I knew that I needed to do to operate as a business, not as a hobby.
Yes.
Right? We got the checking account in line. We got all of the,
all the yucky stuff done, didn't you?
All of the really yucky stuff. Yeah. And then I just got to decorating Christmas trees like no.
Well, the thing is, once you get that yucky stuff in motion, going through the act of actually getting a business name that's legit and making it legit with the state that you live in and doing those things that a lot of times people don't want to do in the beginning, it will force you, you walk a little differently, don't you, Cara?
When you walk a little differently.
When everything is more legit, you feel more legit and you're like, okay, crap, now it's for real. And then you actually start to behave like it's real. And somebody listening right now probably needs to hear that. The reason you're still playing hobby is because you haven't made it real yet in terms of doing all the things that a legit business requires.
Yes, ma'am. You know what else makes it real? When you have some bills.
Yeah.
Right? Amen. You've got some bills, right? So
the light people want their money.
And not just even the light people, but even just the hard operating expenses that are associated with the business, right? So I got a professional liability policy because I'm working in people's homes. Yeah. So I've got an insurance bill to pay, and I have a design software bill I've got to pay. And then you go this is a business, and every business has to have profit. So this girl better start hustling.
And that'll put just a fire under your bum in a New York second. Okay, so that is awesome. So this was last fall, and you started decorating trees for Christmas.
I started decorating trees for Christmas. That's right. I started doing some holiday work right out of the gate. And initially, it looked like I would reach out to just a couple of girlfriends, and I would say, hey, I know that I've got to get launched, and you have a beautiful home, and what can we do? Right?
Yes. Awesome. And were they supportive? I hope your friends and family were supportive.
Oh, supportive, right? You've got to find a tribe. You've got to find your people that will you've got to have your own cheerleading team.
Yes, you do. Everybody needs their hype squad. Who are you kidding?
Everybody needs their hype squad.
Business is tough, and making sure that you have a hype squad behind you, it helps you to feel because if you think that you're going to start a business and not at every level still have days when you're like, does any of this even matter? Do I even know what the heck I'm doing? I mean, if I'm going to be super transparent, since you were Cara, I had that pity party yesterday afternoon. You could contact anybody on my team right now. And I don't have those days very often, but I did yesterday afternoon. I had like a total like pity party. Like, this is all a mess. I'm a mess. Life's a mess. Is anybody even listening to my Facebook Lives moment? And it's okay, I think, to have that for, a small period, but we can't stay stuck there. And so hype squads help us when we're feeling that way of reminding us, no, the work you're doing matters and it's important and you're gifted and you're smart. And so I'm so glad you had a support system.
The other thing that I really want your audience to hear is, while I have been abundantly blessed with marketing and exposure opportunities, for every time you've seen me in the public eye, please know there have been 20 no thank yous.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yes. And so tell us about some of those marketing, opportunities that you've had this year, because things, I think, progressed for you rather quickly. You put yourself out there and you've had a lot of opportunities in the last year. Would you kind of share what some of those have been?
Sure. Things progressed for me really quickly. So, I think I would say that, again, once I decided then to fully commit and make that jump, I knew there was going to be this transition period where I was going to have to just balance all of the things until for about a year. And so Tom just left his corporate job right at the top of August.
Yes. Oh, that's so awesome.
It feels so good. And so I took 2019 and I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to be fully obedient. Yeah. And if you will help me find the opportunities, if you'll help me find the right people in the right places, then I'm going to commit to just taking those opportunities and doing the very best that I can, even when I am scared to death.
Yeah. Your fear has nothing to do with it. I mean, I think that's what so many people, that's where they get stuck, is they think, okay, I'm scared, therefore I better wait till that fear is gone before I say yes to an opportunity or to do it. And that is such a lie. I mean, you're never going to have confidence to do the thing until you actually do the thing. You don't need confidence, you need courage. And courage is basically saying, okay, I'm scared, but I'm jumping anyway. So super proud of you. So you landed some spots.
I landed some spots. So last Christmas, I am decorating trees all over Kansas City. I am doing Facebook Lives like nobody's get out. I'm talking about garland and wreaths and all the things, right? All the trees. And I get this email from a woman I don't know named April Kalanchik.
Oh yeah, April. I knew you from April. Yep. April has been in my inner circle for years. She owns the Sweet and Saucy Life here in Kansas City. She's a cookie artist. Yes, I love it.
That's right. April with Sweet and Saucy Life. So she sends me an email saying, I could use some help with some holiday decorating in my house. And she lives in a neighboring community to me here in the North Kansas City market. I think, okay, great. So I go over and meet her. And then that just developed into just such an amazing friendship. So that was really my first big kind of marketing, because she threw me then sort of in front of her audience, if you will, or shared my information with her audience. And then kind of just tucked me right under her wing, which I find happens time and time and time again in the inner circle.
In my group, yeah, with the girls that are there. I'm so glad that you said that. Yeah. Well, and the reason that I'm glad that you're bringing that up is because I do think that there are a lot of coaching groups that are available that are rah-rah sessions. And they're more of a fan club for the business coach and less about actual concrete things that can be done to grow a business. And the reason I'm saying this is because I have belonged to a couple of those. And I also think that there are some groups that are out in the world that are very cliquey. Mm-hmm. We've done whatever we possibly can to make sure that my inner circle is really a safe place for all business owners. And it's not just for creatives, anymore, which I love. But I love that mentoring factor where other women are like, hey girl, I was exactly where you were a few years ago. And here's, how you can use the group. Here's what you can do for the information. And how about we also join forces here? And I love that she gave you a shout out. So amazing. So how did you land the television segment?
So the television segment, so then I got through the holiday season. And then, for most creative businesses, the month of January is slow.
It's slow. Yeah, it's slow. It's hard.
It's really slow. And I knew that that would be the case. So I churned and burned. I was grinding like a maniac all the way through the end of 2018. And then I set aside January of 2019 to really lay out a strategic business plan for this year that included laying all of the foundation prior to Tom's retirement or departure, so that I could hand over that storage complex, and that this would be my year of marketing and exposure. And then I just started doing my research. So I just started finding the people that were doing the things that I wanted to be a part of, and then really just reaching out via email, via Facebook, via Instagram, to say, can I come with you? Can we collaborate? And that's really, I don't know that there's any secret sauce to it. Is there? I think someone asked me this. I just started working with another collaborative vendor, and he said to me, how did you get on television? And I said, I asked.
You asked. Okay, so this is what I think people at home may be sitting there thinking, Cara. They're thinking, well, somebody found her and they contacted her to be on TV. But what I hear you saying is, no, I got on my big girl panties one day and I either sent an email or made a phone call. Am I right?
Well, here's how that actually transpired. I was watching all of the people in the Kansas City news outlets that I knew I would like to work with, right? So there's another local blogger in the Kansas City market. Her name is Audrey Kuther with Oh So Lovely blog. And she's a regular DIYer who holds segments. And I've been following her on Instagram, and I sent her a private message one day to just say, I love your stuff. You're doing a good job on TV. And then I said, landing a television spot is one of my 2019 goals, because I'm a big believer in setting goals and deadlines for those goals. Otherwise, they're just dreams, right? So she responds back with, what would you do if you landed a TV spot? Girlfriend, I had 7 content ideas.
Yes, good. Yes.
Ready to go. I would do X, Y, and Z, right? And so she said, expect a call next week. And I thought, oh, that's sweet. Sure enough.
That's amazing. So she hooked you up with some of her connections then.
I followed that up with I followed that up back to the studio, of course, with I would love to have the opportunity. Here's 3 or 4 recent Facebook Lives so that you can get a feel for my presence on camera. Please know that I would, of course, keep my message to your 3-minute segment time. I won't just keep talking.
Yeah. And that is one of the things that I've told people in my training inside of my groups is that if you are wanting to be in magazines, be on television, I was approached to be on our local television station first before I ever made a phone call. However, I have made many other phone calls and sent many other emails like on my own to different magazines and things. And so what I always suggest is that you figure out what station you want to be on. And I figure you need to figure out because like morning television is the most popular kind of in our industry for somebody that's doing like a DIY type of thing to be on there. So figure out what show you want to be on there. Then you got to figure out who's the person you actually need to talk to. Then you need to send an email, which needs to be interesting enough that they're going to open it, but not so long they're going to glaze over. And it needs to help them to not have to think, because the problem is a lot of times they're hoping that TV will contact them. Rarely does that happen. And so if they get up the guts to contact a television station, a lot of times they give way too much information. And you got to remember that they are busy. I know I love working for Fox 4 here in Kansas City. And so I was in the station. It was one time last year, and I was talking to the producer that always books me. And I was like, did you get my email the other day? And she's like, I don't know. She goes, girl, look at my inbox. I have 6,000 emails, 6,000 unread emails in her inbox. And I'm like, holy smokes. So your email has to be something that is going to make her want to open, number one. And number 2, something she can read so fast. She doesn't have to think. And so I suggest you always toot your own horn and be like, hey, I've got this many followers here or this many here. These are the 3 things I could do for you. I think your audience would love me because X, Y, Z, bada boom, bada bing, and be done with it. And that way you're not like flooding them with so much information that they're like, oh my gosh, what is, that they have to think or they have to try to figure out something for you. Does that make sense? So I love that you're like, I could do these things.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so my challenge, of course, when I was just starting out is that I didn't have a huge social media following base. I just started out. So I sent very short emails along with a video clip of me on camera.
Yep.
So if I'm asking you to let me have access to your audience, here's exactly how I'll deliver it. And I said, I could be available any of these. Again, just made it very, very easy for them. Here's when I proposed that we do a Halloween shoot, and I'll come in any of these dates. And then I am also, when it comes to exposure opportunities like this, the yes girl.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I what time?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and this is one of the reasons, Cara, that I'm constantly on people about going live on Facebook, because when you are live on Facebook, it's basically like your resume to anybody who's watching that would perhaps want a speaker, that would perhaps want, somebody to do something at a home show, that would want somebody to be on television. Instead of needing to send somebody a resume, you send them to your social and they can see full good and well how you handle yourself on camera and if you're able to carry a conversation and that sort of thing. So I love that you did the Facebook Live. And for anybody who is listening to this podcast right now and you're like, I hate it. Tell me, did you at one point, were you like, I'm not doing a Facebook Live. I don't care how much Jennifer talks about this. Or were you right from the get-go a yes girl there too?
I was. So I want to make sure that I'm always being incredibly honest. I have a public speaking degree.
Yes. Excellent. That helps serve you really well.
It really does. And so for me, again, one of my prayers was just that I'll find the opportunities that allow me to marry my natural giftings, right? So my love of design and decorating and my love of public speaking. And when I can get those two things together, it's like the sparks fly.
That is awesome. Well, if somebody's listening right now and they're like, I don't have a public speaking background, I don't want to do a Facebook Live, I want you to go opt into a video series that we're doing right now as we speak. It's at creatorsinnercircle.com/video series. And I have free training on Facebook Live. I have free ideas on why you should go live on Facebook. I have ideas for you, a short training on Instagram stories, because I'm guessing if you do Facebook Live, Cara, you also do Instagram stories. And I basically tell you in those videos why getting comfortable on camera is so important for the future of your business. So I love that you are comfortable on camera and you're using that as your resume.
I think it is incredibly important. And what I would also say to your audience is you do not have to have a public speaking degree. Cara just does because she has a big mouth and she really...
That is awesome.
Because the accounting classes were really boring in college for me. So I decided that I would just go talk, but you don't have to have a public speaking degree. And your audience is not expecting that of you either. I've heard you talk often about the importance of your audience knowing you, liking you, and trusting you. And I think there is no better way to deliver that or to gain that trust or that credibility with your audience than to just speak directly to them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So you've been in my inner circle for not quite a year, but I'd love to know, and if you would tell some of our audience listeners, because the group is opening up next week and it's only open up twice a year. So what is one of the biggest takeaways that you have taken from being in a community of business owners all trying to build their social media at the same time?
Can I speak first maybe to what got me there?
Yes, please do. You have an open forum here, girl. You go for it.
So I will say to you all, if you're considering joining the inner circle, from my experience, when I started this business, it was like having another baby, right? You have a baby and then you forget how hard it is. And then you decide to have another baby and you go, oh my gosh, I forgot how hard this
was. Yeah, I'm feeling that way about our puppy right now, Cara. Exactly.
Same principle, exactly the same principle. And so, 15 years ago, when I started my first business at 25 years old, I kind of had all of the hubris in the world. And I thought, well, I'll figure this out. I'll just figure this out on my own. And the learning curve was so steep. So the second time around, again, by just a gift of God, I met April and we started to chat. And then she said, I think this is going to be a great resource for you. I think this will be a really great place for you. And what I was looking for, Jen, was really two things. One, I was looking for a shortcut.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I don't have time.
Nobody, right? No, that's what so many people don't understand.
I don't have time.
A coach should get you a shortcut. A coaching group should give you shortcuts. You should be able to get from A to B faster than what I ever did. Amen.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so, you're willing to invest your time, you're willing to invest your money for that shortcut and for that, the list of resources. And so that's really what got me to the inner circle. But what keeps me in the inner circle is just this shared belief in collaboration over competition, which is where I always want to approach my business life. And so I'm finding that collaboration with inner circle members that are in my industry and then others that are not in my industry that I just am soaking up. And because again, just like you said, yesterday was a rough day for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had a lot of thanks for your time, or even worse yet, no reply.
Yeah. Yes. The silence.
Yeah, exactly. And it is so helpful just to have a few other inner circle members that I can reach out to and be like, okay, today was a kick in the pants. Like, I need a little pep talk, or where are you finding these materials, or who's your web developer?
Yes.
I mean,
people that are sharing their secrets and
sharing your secrets. It's like there are no secrets.
Right. Exactly. Which I just love because sometimes like what will happen with business owners, and this doesn't matter if you're brand new to business or you're established, is you will get stuck on something. Like you can't really get to the next thing, the next level in your business until you figure out this one issue or find this one person or get this one, resource. And it's just like that one thing. And so I know from personal experience that sometimes just having somebody that I can ask that one thing to help, like, okay, now I have somebody that I can call that I can, that is a resource for me, or somebody who's next thing I can buy, or now I know which app to use, or you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just that one thing. And I love that my group is full of business owners who are willing to share what they know because it's so valuable. And it feels so good to share what we know. Doesn't it?
It feels so good to share what you know, because while I am trying to build a business in the social media space, at the same time that can, if you're not careful, can feel a little bit lonely and isolating, right? I think there are so many of us that are really seeking community, and you've got to make the social media space smaller in some way. And so for me, the Inner Circle really has done that. There's just been a ton of collaboration, a ton of cooperation, a ton of encouragement.
Yes.
And I also knew that if I was going to step into this new chapter, if I was going to fully take this on, then I needed to be around like-minded individuals, not only from a place of business, similar interests, but also from a place of finding a place where I could be really comfortable running a business and speaking about my faith.
Yeah. Amen, sis. Yeah. And I think, and obviously people of any faith are welcome in my group, but I love too that people just feel very comfortable sharing that part of, because I think for so long we've tried to separate faith from business.
Right.
And for me, I was never able to. Like even back in the days of when I owned my decorative painting company, people would know, it would somehow get weaved into conversation that I was a believer when I would go work in people's homes, and I would end up being able to pray for people, or they would ask me to pray for them, or I'd pray while I was there. And it just like, it makes business so much more enjoyable and authentic when you have all of you in your business. And
that's it. That's it. I knew that when I fully committed to this, that I wanted to fully commit in a way that felt completely authentic to me, which I couldn't segment out my family or my faith from my business.
Exactly. So, well, Cara, I am super glad that you were there in the Inner Circle with us. And so as we finish off here, can I ask you a couple like fun design questions since you are a designer? Okay. So I'm just going to do like rapid fire on you really, really quick. So tell us what the favorite room in your house is.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, my favorite room in my house right now is probably my dining room because it is the one that stays the cleanest. Is that fair?
Absolutely. It's like no touch room. What's your favorite paint color?
Oh my gosh. I love PPG moth gray. It's never failed me.
PPG moth gray. That is a color I do not know. Okay. Fantastic. Your favorite trend right now in decor?
Gold.
Oh, yes, you are my people. Okay. And then lastly, what trend can you not wait until is finally gone?
I think gray is going to head out.
Yeah. Are we going to be replacing it with beige?
Yeah.
Ah, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I see coming. That's what
help, Lord, help. I can't, I just don't feel like I can go back to beige, but I do believe that you're right. I've talked to some other designers and they have said beige is making a comeback. And so like, all right, Lord, prepare my heart. Well, Cara, you're awesome. And so will you tell people where they can find you on social media? Is it Cara Massie Designs everywhere?
It is Cara Massie Design, no S on the end, just caramassiedesign.com. You'll find me on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm really excited that I'll be rolling out some live workshops.
Very cool. Here in the Kansas City area. Yes, thank you. So, Cara, thank you for being here. And for my podcast listeners, thank you guys for listening again this week. And I hope that Cara's story was encouraging to someone who feels like perhaps they should be doing something different than what they are, or who are feeling that holy discontentment where they're like, I know God's calling me to something else, but I'm scared to death to make the shift. And so I'm just really proud of you, Cara, for making that shift. And I'm proud of you for doing the hard things. I'm just really proud of you overall. And I pray a blessing on your business. And I just hope that this holiday season is even like double what it was last year for you. So friends, go over to creatorsinnercircle.com, get on the wait list. We literally are opening September the 8th, and we're only open for a couple of days, and we'll be closed down again until next year. And I would love to see you in there. So until next week, I hope you'll stay creative. Bye-bye. Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you're here and that you just listen week in and week out and that you share the Jennifer Allwood Show with your friends and family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, go download the Stitcher app and you can subscribe there so that you know every single week when a new episode releases. Also, if you have any time to leave us a review, these reviews are super important in getting guests for the show and sponsors for the show. And so we'd appreciate it if you have just a second to leave us a review. That would be amazing. Thank you guys again for being here. And until next week, stay creative.